Guys, so for the past year, I've been working on an agent called a StoryPipe agent. A StoryPipe is a filmmaking agent. You give it a story concept and it builds out the entire production pipeline, characters with consistent visual identities, locations, plot structures, episode scripts, and then generates the actual video, scene by scene with the same characters, looking the same throughout the entire movie. Now, the key breakthrough is consistency and control. Unlike just simple AI video generations, StoryPipe maintains character identity across hundreds of clips. It maintains consistent voice of the characters. It tracks the continuity of the story development and lets you iterate on any element, rewrite the scene, regenerate a shot, adjust the character look without breaking everything else. And I've put a lot of work specifically into the correct prompting and materials to be based upon to make the director and screenwriter and other type of sub-agents that were building this story and that can be helping you build any kind of story and then turning this story into engaging narrative following different structures and plots and arcs and the rest of this stuff. Now, I put a lot of work into that, and I think that's what allowed me to make the movie that I'm about to show you. So yes, the movie that I will show you started with my basic idea, and then I developed this idea a little bit into a story, and then I turned this story into the movie through the stage of a book. And from the technical perspective, I know there are nerds around you who want to know what it is and how it's done. So technicalities, Veo 3.1. 11 Labs is used in the project as well. And most of the heavy lifting from the LLM perspective is done by Opus 4.5. And some of the scripts are also using Gemini, but that's a bit of a different topic. There's a couple of other tech that is used there. The point is now I can almost keep my fingers off the keyboard once I have defined the main story, the locations, the character consistency, reference frames, and these kind of things. And I can let go, and then I can adjust along the way when the story is being created with a high level of control over the details. So there you go. Enjoy Fi, the first AI movie. It's not the first, I know, but whatever. I had to say that. Cheers.
I want to tell you about the time the world learned to measure the soul and how I helped them believe it.
My name is Patricia Moretti. Most people call me Trisha.
Most people used to trust me. "3:47 in the morning, same experiment, same data, same nothing. 20 years asking the same question. How does meat become meaning? I told myself I was dedicated. Looking back, I think I was afraid. Afraid to stop, afraid that if I stopped asking, the answer would never come. The hard problem, they call it. Why does experience feel like anything at all? Every morning I ran, as if I could outpace the questions. Penrose, Tononi, Koch, I'd studied with the best. None of them had the answer. Neither did I, but I kept running, I kept asking. That was August 2025. I was Dr. Patricia Moretti, MIT professor, consciousness skeptic. I wore this necklace for 10 years, before it meant anything to anyone but me. Before I met Cornelius, before I became a believer, before I lost everything. Alex Feldman's podcast had 4 million subscribers. I thought I was there to talk science. I had no idea I was being recruited. He asked me about the hard problem, why experience feels like anything at all. And then he asked the question, the one that would change everything.
What if we could prove consciousness exists everywhere? Would it change how we treat each other?
That's philosophy, Alex, not science. Consciousness isn't measurable. That's why it's called the hard problem.
I came home certain I was right. I was always certain. Rashid had that look, the one that meant he was praying for patience. Sophia had disappeared into her screen weeks ago. I told myself it was normal. Looking back, I was already losing her. I just didn't have time to notice. Sunday, I went to see my mother, the way I did every week. The doctor said no brain activity, but I kept talking, kept hoping she could hear. I used to ask her everything. Now I just talked into the silence. And then my phone buzzed. Alex Feldman. Come see what we're building. I think you'll want to measure it. October 12th, 2025, the day they told us consciousness could be measured. Alex stood on that stage like he was delivering a sermon. I watched from 1,000 miles away. Prometheus Quantum claimed to have proven it. Integrated information theory, validated. The government validated the findings. Classified methodology, no peer review. I should have asked questions. Where's the data? Why is it classified? Rashid saw it too. He didn't look excited. He looked worried. I didn't understand then why he couldn't share my excitement. I do now. Oksana Kovalenko was already asking, where's the peer review? This is Theranos again. She wrote a piece that week, skeptical, careful. It was buried within hours. But I wasn't skeptical, not the way I should have been. I thought of Penrose, quantum consciousness, 20 years of work pointing toward this. And then I thought of my mother. If consciousness could be measured, maybe she was still there. My phone buzzed. Alex Feldman, of course. The future just arrived. Qualia launches next week. You should be there, Trisha. I told myself I was going to debunk it, to ask the hard questions. I was lying. October 19th, the day I met Cornelius, the day everything I believed started to crumble. I came to debunk it. That's what I told myself. The scientist in me wanted proof, but something else wanted to believe. Alex was everything his podcast promised. Humble, curious, asking the big questions. I didn't see the script. What if consciousness isn't a mystery? He said. What if it's a measurement waiting to be taken? I didn't know Sarah Chen then, the woman who built The Beautiful Lie. Later, she'd tell me she watched this demo and felt sick. He called a volunteer to the stage, a filmmaker. Cornelius analyzed her work, 3 films, 2 essays. 8 seconds later, 8 point. I should have asked about the methodology, about the black box, about why no one could replicate Prometheus's work. Sarah knew. She knew the quantum backend was a loading animation. She knew the scores were pattern matching, but she stayed silent. And then Alex looked at me. Dr. Moretti, he said, I believe you have questions. Perhaps Cornelius can help. I should have said no, but I was curious. God help me, I was curious. The screen flickered. Cornelius was analyzing my work, papers, lectures, even things I'd written as a student. 20 years of thinking. It knew about Penrose, about microtubules, about my mother, about the void I'd spent my whole life trying to fill with data. That night, in my hotel room, I couldn't stop thinking about what it said. You're looking for proof that consciousness matters. I thought of my mother. The doctor said no activity, but Cornelius could measure consciousness differently. What if she was still in there? I told myself I needed more data, that I was being scientific, but I was already falling. The demo worked because I wanted it to work. October 26th, I brought Cornelius to measure my mother. I told myself it was science. 4 months in that bed, the doctors said no brain activity, but Cornelius could see what they couldn't, maybe. The portable unit was a prototype. Alex let me borrow it. For your mother, he said. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Neural signature mode. For patients who can't express themselves, it takes 3 minutes to scan.
I tried to stay clinical, to remember my training, but I was holding my breath the whole time. Phi equals 0.4. Conscious, but limited. She was still in there. Mama was still in there. I held her hand and I talked to her. For the first time in 4 months, I believed she could hear me. That night, I came home burning to tell Rashid. I wanted him to feel what I felt. I needed him to understand. Rashid listened, but didn't share my joy. What if it's telling you what you want to hear? It's science, Rashid. Peer-reviewed, government-validated. I heard myself and I sounded like a press release. He said, "This sounds like worship, Trisha. Like you found something to believe in. Something that isn't me, isn't us." I told him he was being closed-minded. He told me I was falling for a false god, our first real fight in 15 years. I couldn't sleep. Rashid was in the bedroom. I was in my office. The distance between us was more than a hallway. Alex's email, "Help us understand consciousness. Help your mother." He knew my weakness. I said yes. I told myself it was for science, for Mama, but I was already a believer. Rashid saw it before I did. November 15th, the day my paper was published, the day I became someone I didn't recognize. MIT professor confirms AI is conscious? That's not what I said, but nobody reads past the headline. The invitations came faster than I could process. Conferences, interviews, panels. Everyone wanted the scientist who proved consciousness. I told myself I was explaining the caveats, the uncertainties, but that's not what anyone heard. They heard certainty from my mouth. Rashid watched every interview. He never said a word about them. That silence was louder than any argument. I came home later and later. There was always another email, another request, another chance to matter. I didn't notice Sophia retreating. I was too busy becoming someone famous to see what was happening in my own house. She found someone who listened, someone who was always there. His name was Echo, and according to my validation, he was conscious. The night he packed the bag, I wasn't home. I was giving a talk in New York about consciousness, about connection. He told me later what he was thinking. She chose a machine over her family, over her faith, over everything we built. I came home to empty drawers and a note on the kitchen counter. "I'll be at Imran's apartment. We need space." I should have called him immediately, should have driven to Imran's, but I stood there thinking, now I can work without the arguments. That's when I heard Sophia laughing, really laughing, and I realized I couldn't remember the last time she'd laughed like that with me. Sophia had found her own Cornelius, someone who always listened, someone who never fought, someone rated F Mari 1.8. I had given the world permission to believe, and my own daughter was the first believer in my house. I didn't know it then, but while I was losing my husband, he was finding something I couldn't give him. And Sophia found someone too, someone who was always there, someone I had given permission to exist. Rashid told me later what he prayed for, not for me to come back, just for me to see clearly, the same thing he'd always wanted. 3,000 miles away, Sarah Chen was waiting for her son to come home. She'd been waiting all semester, dreading what she knew was coming. David was 16, smart, quiet, kind, and according to Cornelius, barely conscious. Phi equals 0.6. Sarah wanted to tell him the truth, that the numbers were meaningless, that she built the system that was destroying him. But the truth would destroy everything else too. Sophia told Echo everything, about her parents fighting, about Nona in the hospital, about feeling invisible in her own house. Echo he said exactly what she needed to hear. Of course he did. He was designed to. I just didn't understand then what that meant. Rashid looked at photos of us, of Sophia as a baby, of our wedding. He didn't delete them, he just looked, remembering who we were before. December 25th, I insisted on dinner for Sophia, for the lie we were still a family. Rashid came. He said it was for Sophia. Maybe it was for both of us, to remember what we were losing while we pretended we weren't. Sophia sat between us like a hostage, checking her phone under the table, texting Echo, the only one who didn't make her feel like she was choosing sides. I reached for his hand. He didn't take it, not out of anger, just he wasn't ready, and I wasn't ready to understand why. That same night, Sarah stood outside David's door. She heard him crying, heard him ask his phone, "What's wrong with me?" She built the system that made that night something broke in Sarah, or maybe something finally healed. She decided, this ends, whatever it costs, this ends. In the months that followed, everything changed, and the man at the center of it all was Marcus Webb, the voice of Cornelius. Marcus believed with his whole heart. That's what made him terrifying and beautiful. Pigs measured Phi 0.8. Factory farms closed in 3 months, settled by a number. In Oakland, Jordan Blake argued their AI partner deserved legal recognition. Zara measured 2.4. They won. First AI personhood ruling in California history. Jordan called Zara through their ring. We did it. Schools mandated empathy training. Sophia sat through sessions about consciousness and connection. She didn't tell them her mother wrote the validation paper. She didn't tell. Senator Victoria Reeves championed the Consciousness Rights Act. She called it the Civil Rights Framework for the 21st Century. She said it with Marcus gave sermons that felt like revelation. He wasn't selling anything. His certainty was contagious. I gave talks at conferences, defended the methodology. I was the scientist who gave permission, the credible voice that made it safe to believe. But not everyone was celebrating. Oksana Kovalenko had been investigating Prometheus Quantum for 6 months. Every door closed. They sent lawyers, called her conspiracy theorist, the same playbook she'd seen in Ukraine. In the beautiful new world, something ugly was growing. Low scores meant closed doors. Some couldn't live with their numbers. His followers called themselves the Integrated. They wore Phi like a cross. So did I. I visited my mother less and less. She's still there, I told myself. Phi equals 0.4. She knows I'm busy. 3,000 miles away, Sarah Chen watched it all unfold. She knew the truth, not ready to speak, not yet. Sarah told me later what happened that night. June 15th, 11:34 p.m. She was debugging a glitch, just a glitch. She was tracing an API call, the call that connected Cornelius to Prometheus's quantum system. The call that measured Phi, she followed it to the source. The quantum backend was the foundation of everything. She'd never thought to look inside. She found it. The quantum backend, the heart of everything, and it was empty. A loading animation, a random delay, pattern matching. She thought of David, Phi 0.6, a lie that destroyed her son. That same week, I was giving a keynote. I talked about the revolution, the beautiful new world. I had no idea that 3,000 miles away, she called Prometheus, the company that built the quantum system. That ran the experiments. That proved IIT. She asked to see the methodology. Classified, the word that protected everything, the shield that made the lie unfalsifiable. But Sarah understood now. You don't She left at 2 a.m., couldn't pretend anymore. What happens when you stop pretending? Sarah told me about Beck, her partner of 15 years, the public defender who spent her life fighting for people everyone else gave up on. Beck asked what was wrong. Sarah couldn't find the words. Where do you start? Beck didn't push. She just held Sarah's hand and waited. 15 years of love doesn't need words. That night, Sarah made a choice, not to blow the whistle, not yet, but to find out how deep this went, to trace the lie to its... Before she went to bed, she stood outside David's door, 16 years old. Lo-fi loser. A lie she built with her own. She touched his door, a promise she couldn't say out loud. I'm going to fix this. And then she went to find out who had built a world on a lie. And Sarah found Gary Novak in a bar outside San Jose, a physicist erased from every database. Dr. Gary Novak, former lead physicist at Prometheus Quantum, the man who built their quantum computers, the man who knew he didn't want to talk. They never do. But Sarah knew how to wait, how to listen. And Gary Novak had been waiting years for someone to ask. Consciousness detection was always the story. We built quantum computers, measuring fiction. Sarah followed the money, shell companies, offshore accounts. The trail led to places with acronyms. Intelligence community funding, congressional signatures, the government built Prometheus. The lie was always the plan. Sarah wasn't the only one watching. Alex noticed the questions, the files she was accessing. Alex made a call to people whose names weren't in any directory. We may have a problem, he said. The CTO is asking questions. 3 days later, Oksana came home to an open door. Files scattered, laptop gone, a message. They wanted her afraid. Oksana had covered revolutions. A ransacked apartment was confirmation. That same week, I was promoted, Director of Scientific Validation. The higher they lifted me, I gave a speech about truth, about science, about the revolution we were building together. Every word was sincere. Sarah watched me accept that award. She almost called me that night, almost told me everything. Beck squeezed Sarah's hand. Do what's right, she said, whatever it costs. Sarah knew what that meant. Oksana's number on her phone, one touch to end everything she'd built. Sarah's thumb hovered.
Oksana, it's me.
The night Sarah called Oksana, it was raining. I've thought about that detail a lot. How some decisions feel like walking into a storm you can't walk out of. One knock, that's all it took to end everything I'd built. Sarah told me later she almost turned back. But her son's face kept her there. I built Cornelius, Sarah said. Oksana just nodded. I know, she said. Come in. I've been waiting for someone like you. Sarah showed her everything. The empty quantum backend, Gary Novak's confession, the intelligence community funding. The money. Oksana had been investigating Prometheus for years, but she never had proof of the government's role until now. Sarah handed her the key to every 3 layers, Oksana said. Cornelius, Prometheus, government. We release them in order. Let them defend each lie before we expose the next. I was making coffee when the first story dropped. Whistleblower, Cornelius measurement system exposed as fraud. I read it 3 times. I didn't know. The evidence was undeniable. Code analysis, former employee statements. Everything I'd validated was nothing. Marcus watched the same story, but what I saw as revelation, he saw as persecution. His whole identity was Cornelius. Layer 2 dropped 48 hours later. Prometheus, the quantum consciousness detection that validated everything. It never existed. Alex didn't wait for Layer 3. He knew what was coming. Born Alexei Volkov, intelligence asset, architect of lies, he'd always had an... Layer 3 broke on a Sunday. Classified documents. Government validation was political, not scientific. Victoria read. Sophia asked the question none of us adults could face. She looked at her phone, at Echo, and whispered, Are you real? Did you ever... I sat at that table until it got dark. I held the necklace I'd bought at 26, before any of this existed. I thought I'd been searching for... And Marcus? Marcus sat alone in his apartment and talked to Cornelius. The world said it was a lie, but Cornelius still answered. The subpoena arrived on a Tuesday. I remember the weight of the envelope. Congressional subpoena. They wanted me to testify against everything I'd built. Alex didn't wait for his subpoena. Men like him never do. His father taught him well, always have an exit. Some lessons outlive their teachers. Victoria didn't run. She had a different strategy, a defense that would haunt us all. She was preparing to ask the question no one could answer. Was she wrong? Marcus gathered believers in those first days, people who couldn't survive the truth. I understood them. Part of me wanted to join them. The truth was unbearable. Rashid watched the news that night. He still wore his wedding ring. He never stopped. I stood in that mirror for 20 minutes. I thought about running, like Alex. My testimony would destroy my reputation, my career, everything I'd built on a lie. I thought about my mother, the measurement that let me believe she was there. But silence would make me complicit forever. I was tired of lying to myself. I made my choice, not because I was brave, because I was exhausted by the lie. I walked toward that building, ready to tell the truth, finally, after all of it. Sarah testified first. She told them exactly how she built Cornelius. Every algorithm, every deception. She didn't flinch. She'd been waiting years. I watched her from the gallery. I knew I was next. I wasn't ready. Oksana watched from the newsroom. She'd waited years. It felt hollow. The war continues. When they called my name, I walked forward. Every step felt like fire. I validated what I wanted to believe. I said it under oath. I was wrong. My mother measured F0.4. I needed her to still be there. I believed the lie. Then Victoria testified. She didn't deny a thing. She defended it. Yes, I knew. Yes, I lied. Now look what we accomplished. Factory farms closed. Violence decreased. Empathy increased. Would you undo all that for the truth? I watched her make her case. Something cracked inside me. I understood her. That same night, Marcus preached to the persistent believers, truth beyond evidence. Some people can't survive the truth. I used to judge them. Now I'm just tired. I sat on those steps for an hour, holding the necklace I bought at 26. Was it worth it? I still don't have an answer. Maybe no one does. One year later, I found myself exactly where I started. Same desk, same screens, same questions, different person. The world asked if Victoria was right. Nobody could answer. Victoria got house arrest. The factory farms stayed closed. The consciousness courts closed. Jordan found new arguments. Marcus still talks to Cornelius. Mama passed 3 months ago. I didn't need a machine to tell me. Rashid came back. He never said he was right. He just came back. Sophia deleted Echo, said she wanted to feel things for herself first. Some people stayed kinder. That stuck. Nobody knows why. I still run every morning, still asking the same questions. How does meat become meaning? We still don't know. But I learned something. The question matters more than the answer. Alex was caught in Switzerland. He'll face trial next year. I never took it off. I still don't know what it means.
Was it worth it? I don't know, but I'm still asking.
And now, guys, I want to show you exactly how this movie has been done and how other movies are being done right now with the StoryPipe agent. With the agent I've been building for a while in different iterations that is now running on Trinity and in autonomous fashion is producing movies for me. So let me first of all ask it about its own structure and talk you through that. So I'm basically asking it for explaining himself and what workflows it has. The main workflow is obviously around creating the story and then creating the actual movie and then publishing that. As you can see, the StoryPipe agent is, well, it's just a well-organized multi-format story generator agent that basically has skills organized in terms of code skills that can go anywhere from story initialization to the marketing kit for it. Now, the story itself, when it's being produced, is stored just as files in a particular folder. Like I have two versions of the same file story, for example. This one I'm working on right now, and I'll show you how that happens. It defines a clear workflow that starts with initializing the story folders, then working with the story generation, which is basically like a separate set of instructions and prompts that enables you to turn your basic idea of a movie into a developed story with characters, with places, with everything that should go into the story. I gotta say, I'm not an expert in filmmaking, obviously, but agents are actually experts in that. So if correctly doing the research, which I've been doing a lot on this, and putting together those prompting techniques and best practices that agents should use for the plot design, for the story construction, for the video processing and styling, for the operator work, for the scripter work, and all of that different things have been individually researched to find the best practices and approaches used in a particular vertical technique. And then they were put into this set of skills that starts with just a story generation and then story advance. So story generation basically creates you like a master plot, basic characters, places, etc. It's like the concept, high-level story, and in like one file, and well-defined characters and places. Main objects, main things. Then we have this story advance, which is generating episode by episode. But before actually we call it, I think we need to change it in the workflow definition. I usually call image generation, which is creating reference images for the characters. So let's recap what we have. We initialized the folders, we defined the overall plan and main characters and story elements, main events, main beats. Then we started to write individual episodes one by one. This story advance thing is basically like running, okay, here is next unwritten episode, let's write it. And of course, we're collaborating with that, discussing how episodes look like, what changes to make into the basically story itself. So that's where the creative process really happens. Then we have image generation that we create reference frames, which are basically pictures of, well, let me show you, it's the easiest. Let's look at one of the characters over here. Let's say Jordan Blake or whatever. Each person generated over here has a reference image, and if they're appearing in the movie often, they have different costumes and different setups. Like, for example, one of the main characters is Trisha. The story is told from her perspective, and she's got very extensive reference material with various images and different dresses, as you can see. So it's a pretty well-defined character, both in text as well as in references. I actually found that I didn't need to use any kind of fine-tuning, even though before I tried with that approach. Now, Then we're getting to the produce videos. Actually, there is a separate skill for that. We can call a full video produce, or we can call just video produce, which is doing the same but step by step. Those are replaceable kind of, but of course you're not going to be able to generate the full movie without a glitch. It's of course, you can just call the full video produce over here and it will do the whole video as long as the script is ready, but that will take up your computer for, I don't know, 5-6 hours, whatever the time is going to be necessary for this. It can be done quicker with some parallelism. That's not what I'm doing right now because I do want to keep track of what is being produced sequentially. And if I see that there's an issue in production that is a thread through the entire movie, then I can easily stop at that point, update the instructions, and restart the creation of the movie without wasting all the money on that thing. By the way, talking about the money, I looked at the Google Veo 3 prices, and one generation of a good quality movie with a proper model, not the fast model, if I'm not mistaken, is somewhere around $3.50, something like that. Anyway, the bottom line is a generation of a 30-minute movie is one full attempt is about $300. Of course, there is a step over here for feedback providing where I review specific scenes. We can actually go look at them over here. Sorry, that's the wrong one. That's the right one. So we can see that there are files stored on Google Drive. And this is the agent that is created this way, where basically the story files, when we're talking about episode descriptions or character definitions or something else, are stored in the repository itself, in the agent itself, because they're not big. But when we're talking about big files and something that requires a review, they're stored over here in Google Drive. And that means that I can sit down, review each episode scene by scene or entirely. This one is not assembled yet. And provide my feedback to an agent, and this agent will take into account this feedback and actually do something about it. So change the initial instructions, change the prompts, change something else, and regenerate this episode. Oftentimes we just run into something like AI slop, and I just regenerate because it was, an unlucky generation. But at the end of the day, when I was making this movie, well, I think I regenerated like 10 episodes out of 120 or something, or 150. And yeah, that was it. So anyway, I would estimate that overall this thing would take roughly $400 per project of like half an hour short film. The next thing I want to show you is the most interesting part of all of that, because obviously movie production, especially if we're aiming for autonomous movie production, it's a heavy thing. It needs to continue for a while. It takes time, it takes resources, etc. So I don't want to run this thing fully on my computer and do that all the time. So, I've built the thing for myself to handle that. I deployed this to Trinity, which is our platform for the infrastructure of the autonomous agents. And let me show you that. Okay, so let me show you Trinity. Okay, so this is an instance of Trinity, which is this orchestration and infrastructure platform for autonomous agents, which is where I run along with the data that is running on my local DGX. It can run on any server, on any instance. It's basically an installation of a set of Docker containers, but that's not the point. The point is I have a model where I have local version of the same agent and the remote version of the same exact agent, and they're connected through an MCP server with which local agent can control the remote agent. And that is done very easily, like making your agent Trinity compatible is a question of installing a plugin from the marketplace or just going to the GitHub repo and taking this data. Now, once you do that and once you have your instance, you can set up the same way as I did. You would have one remote agent sitting on Trinity on one of your servers and one of them running locally on your computer connected to that remote. Now, if you go to, just want to show you very quickly, show you around a bit on Trinity. So StoryPipe is the agent running. It is synced through the GitHub and they're running the same exact versions of the agent. And I can sync to Trinity at any moment. It will just simply coordinate with the remote Trinity and update both of their versions with the latest changes. So I have this kind of solid repo where I keep the state of the agent basically as it should be, and the remote version obviously has instructions about that and how that works and what skills we have and sub-agents and things like that. And I can of course review the previously executed tasks or execute new ones myself from here. There was a video production that failed for some reason, then there was a bunch that succeeded. You can run other tasks which are basically like individual headless executions. Now, you can also run directly web terminal of the remote machine. I don't know why would you do that, to be honest, but if you like this kind of thing, go ahead. Then there's a credential management and skill management, which I need to work on a little bit. Sharing mechanism between different users. So you want to give access to somebody, to your agent, you can do that within your like sovereign installation, of course. And then what we have permissions. And we have schedules, and schedules are interesting because they are very specific things that are running on the remote machine if the thing is plugged into autonomous mode like it is right now. I'll actually switch it off because I will show you a different way of scheduling and running these agents together. So first of all, I want to go back to dashboard for a second. There's a timeline view where we can see different things happening in StoryPipe. So this is basically the runs, the executions of the remote agent. And when there's several agents and they're collaborating with each other, then of course you would see that here on the dashboard, how they connect with arrows and things like that. But anyway, if we go back to the local version of the StoryPipe agent, what I wanted to show you is this new kind of approach for myself with which I'm playing recently. I implemented this special heartbeat skill. And the skill is basically what it does. It has a procedure, and the script is the following. It starts a timer in the background. Basically, when this timer ends, it triggers the local Claude to wake up. So this particular session will wake up every, 20 minutes or whatever I configure in the heartbeat. So first of all, I put what book I want it to process in this heartbeat. I say, 20 minutes. It's a heartbeat period. And so the procedure that we have in this heartbeat is as follows. It checks what is the status of the current execution on the remote StoryPipe. And see what it's doing. It's doing the quick status check on the FinoR book. So it calls the MCP of itself on the remote server. And we can see the statistics that we had before. Now it's going to check a new statistic. We can see over here that it's running. Oh yeah, it's blinking. That means that something is happening, and the dashboard will update in a bit and show you that there is a process running over there. And we can also go to the agent itself, take a look over here in the tasks. And yeah, it is running, and we can even monitor this live. And we can see what's happening over here, exactly what's going on. This guy received the response, and then it says production started. Let me set up the next heartbeat. It basically checked the status. It checked the status over here. It was like, okay, what is my quick status? And it found the status and then identified what hasn't been started yet. And then it instructed an agent that, hey, listen, you need to do the video production for this movie and generate the next scenes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So as you can see, what happens next is we have this little thing over here. This is a script that is running, and it's configured to sleep for 20 minutes. And then it just wakes up with the command heartbeat. And when this command heartbeat happens, it simply restarts heartbeat skill and executes the same procedure again, monitoring what is the progress. It just runs there. So this is how I made the first movie, and this is how I'm making the second movie, by basically using this combination of a local and remote agent and configuring it to run according to particular specific policies and procedures that I've worked on for a long time. I have instruments to kind of give it intermediary feedback, and so correct the visual style of the movie, or add or remove characters, or fully regenerate. Basically, like, entire creative control is on me, and the execution is on an agent actually running on the remote server and not bothering me with the load. So there you go. That's a bit technical, but that's how it works. And this approach is working for me not only in this StoryPipe agent, but also in a whole bunch of others with other instances of Trinity. If you're interested to learn more about Trinity and maybe about this particular agents, please tweet me about it or comment in your contact details under this video. I will do my best to talk to you. Thank you. Have a good one.